Hi, gang. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right here, as a matter of fact. Hello,
Right
TC.
here. Hello, Michael. Thrilled to be here.
Welcome to Happy Hour.
Thank you. So glad we're doing this.
I had a neighbor. He's gone, and he was also my Little League baseball coach. And he wouldn't mind me telling the story. I'm not besmirching his memory. He would think that I was honoring it. Mr. Ernst,
Okay.
Jack Ernst, and local lore has it that he'd been brought before the authorities for a
Uh-oh.
drinking issue.
Uh-oh.
And that the judge said to him, Mr. Ernst, do you realize that you're here for drinking? And he said, Your Honor, let's get started.
Oh, no.
Whack, whack.
Seriously. Wow.
Yeah. Our guests now wondering, what have they gotten into?
Right. And well, she inspired the whole thing.
It's true. It is true. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a moment. But can I say that I'm equipped and I'm about to pour myself a drink. You look like you're equipped. Why don't you go first?
I'm equipped, but I'm doing damp January. And so what I'm doing is non-alcoholic. I'm doing a coastal spritz with distilled coastal botanicals, blood orange, sea rosemary, and oak wood. So that's what I'm going to start with. I have a non-alcoholic beer. I have a lot of things. So that is how easy it is for me to pour a cocktail. Thank you, Wallace Dry-Gist.
I guess I did dry January 2 years ago.
Last year and the year before. And
Yeah.
you've inspired me. Look at how gorgeous that is.
It looks nice. Yeah, that looks nice. Cheers.
Yeah,
That's great.
What you got going on over there?
Okay, so for me, it's a bit more complicated.
Woozy.
Yeah, let me just see. I actually have to move this over to me. Hey,
Thank you.
PJ, I'm hearing some folks in my head from who are attendees, which is a good thing.
That was mysterious.
Thank you, TC.
No problem.
There we go.
That was
Okay.
such a cool cooler, by the way.
So let me just see. How am I going to reach for
No,
this?
are you doing?
I'm not used to pouring a drink. My drink of choice is a Manhattan.
Okay, is that what you're making?
Yeah, and I think that every person needs to have a signature drink.
Okay.
When mine is a Manhattan, sometimes I'll go for a gin martini, but I am a Manhattan person. They say that Barbara Bush was a big Manhattan drinker, and I could totally see that.
Totally see that.
Yeah, I could just see her sipping with class and dignity.
I like Michter's rye. That's some good stuff.
All right,
When I'm drinking,
so
Michter's.
the way that I do these is I do just a touch of dry vermouth,
Okay.
just a wisp.
Okay.
I hope I don't screw it up on camera, but
whisper.
here we go. Just a little touch of whoa.
Oh no.
whoa,
Oh no.
whoa.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and then sweet vermouth, and many people will go for like a 3-to-1-ish ratio. I don't know. This is extra sweet
Okay.
vermouth. So, and I haven't tried it before, but it's a companion to my dry vermouth.
that.
So I think I'll be in safe quarters.
Okay.
So I'm going to do that, and let's just see how far I want to go.
So a little more of that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, like a lot more.
Yeah. So
Okay,
that
yeah.
feels about right.
Okay.
That's a good pour. And then Michter's I became familiar with, I have to say, from watching Billions.
Is that right?
Yeah, they made a bit. This was like, the rye of choice.
I actually was lucky enough to go to a Michter's tasting in South Carolina where the woman, and it is a woman who is in charge of all the barreling, was the speaker. And she was phenomenal. She is so knowledgeable. Yeah. Had her on the podcast. What is that?
Okay, so these were in my Christmas stocking.
Love it.
And I've not opened them yet.
Cherries?
They're cherries, but they must be like
cherries.
fancy.
Because what are they like?
Fancy
I think there are
schmancy.
3 of them in there.
Yeah,
Maybe 4.
right. On a
I
per
can tell you,
cherry.
dry January is easier.
Right. All right. So a little cherry for my Manhattan. Here we
Do you
go.
put any of the juice in there? No.
No, I do not. but
Okay, some
I
people
guess
do.
I guess you could.
I don't know. I just was asking.
So, all righty.
Now that is the cutest little shaker, by the way.
Yeah. And it's not a huge pour.
Yeah, just like a mini
not a
shaker.
huge pour.
Is that how you do it every night?
Look at this. Come on. What's become of us? What the hell is going on here?
Fantastic.
Huh? All right, you ready, PJ? Here comes the big pour. Oh, look at that. Look at that, huh? Oh,
Perfect. Yes. A thing of beauty.
Now, I will sometimes, my dad would do this, and so I will sometimes do this. I'll take out an ice cube and I'll pop it in there just so I can prolong the experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use my fingers if that's
Fine.
okay, because
Yeah.
only I will be drinking out
Great.
of this glass. Just a little ice,
Beautiful.
little tip of the hat to my dad.
Love it.
And yeah, and there we go. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. Happy New Year.
Happy
Good.
New Year.
I'm not finished.
Oh, geez.
Good health, prosperity, good radio to our listeners and
Our
viewers. We
listeners.
appreciate all of you. All right.
Cheers.
There we go. Cheers. Yeah, that's good.
Delicious.
That's a great Manhattan. That is a great Manhattan.
This is a good coastal spritz.
Yeah. So what inspired this? What inspired this is that I read a piece, and it made the cut for Mingle News, that Lane Florsheim wrote for the Wall Street Journal under the headline, "What happened to happy hour? What happened to happy hour?" And like it immediately resonated with me. One of the graphs in the story, once a staple of professional life, happy hour is now a casualty of a corporate cultural reset. Many people aren't going to work. They're not going to the office. And those who do, they just want to get home by 6. Business budgets for mandatory fun have shrunk. Everybody's drinking less. These trend lines may be good for work-life balance, but the downside for some is profound. Young workers say they're missing out on opportunities to make friends and find mentors. That's a big part of it. And bar owners are hurting as well. This is Lane Florsheim from the Wall Street Journal. Lane, thank you so much. You're watching, you're participating, and you're wondering, what did I get myself into? What motivated you to write this story?
No, thank you so much for having me on. I'm at the office, so I've got sparkling water, but I am also
nice.
partaking in your happy hour.
Cheers to you.
Cheers. My editor and I just kind of were talking about how much happy hour used to be such a thing and how since the pandemic, it really isn't any longer. And, one of the people who I talked to for the story is based in New York, but travels to Europe a lot for work. And he says that, when you're in a city like Amsterdam or especially London, it's like 5 o'clock hits and everyone says, do you want to go grab a drink? And it's just, people are in their work clothes in pubs on like spilling onto the sidewalk. And, I think we used to have that more in New York in the US, and that kind of culture seems to have gone away a bit with the pandemic.
So I spent about a decade, not about a decade, I spent a decade as a trial lawyer. And although I was newly married and we were starting a family, so I was not, out on the town all that much, but it was a big part of the work culture. And it's not just like, hey, let's have a cocktail. It's a bonding experience. It's a mingling experience. It's a get to know your coworkers and get to know your mentors, because that was a large part of it as well. You'd go have a drink. And as a matter of fact, Lane, lunch was a big deal then.
Power lunch.
Right. Well, yeah, I was never like a Mad Men person. I couldn't do 2 martinis for dinner, much less for lunch. But that opportunity to get together with people and socialize is missing. And the reason I was so drawn to your story and wanted to talk to you is because I see it as part of a much larger narrative of societal disconnect and a lack of common experience. I've been taken out of context and people say all I want to do is promote drinking, or I want to promote sex among young people, because I've also talked about the data that says there just aren't relationships the way that there had been. And I'm not looking to, promote the ills of society. I just want people to be social. I mean, TC is having a non-alcoholic beverage. I'm cool with that. I just want people to be together and to enjoy themselves.
I agree.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's what we're saying here. I'm curious, what was the reaction to the piece?
I think a lot of people have very fond memories of both happy hour and just socializing with colleagues in general. And I think that for a lot of like young people in Gen Z, they never got to experience it and they feel like they're really missing out. Like you said, like it can be an opportunity to socialize with people who are higher up than you at the company. So they're missing out on those possible mentor connections and getting to know the more senior people on the team they might not be interfacing with every day. And I also think like for, people at any level in the office, it's also just an opportunity to have more casual conversations with your coworkers. Like multiple people I spoke to just talked about like, for some reason, like you make small talk with your boss or your coworker, but you don't kind of reach this level where you're like really talking. And for whatever reason, that seems to happen more after work and at happy hour and whatnot. So I think people are really missing those things.
Happy hour was also a place where, gosh, we're speaking of it as if, we're burying happy hour. I hope maybe we'll lead to a resurgence of happy hour. That's my goal. But it was also a place where relationships formed. And I'm reflecting on an era that was pre-internet or the dawn of the internet. And of course, today everything is just by virtue of your phone and swiping and so forth, which I was too late for this era. This must be a hell of a lot easier than looking across the bar and trying to come up with like, what's the line I'm going to use. But do you think that that's also a portion of this?
I didn't, not very many people I spoke to brought up relationships in this. One did say that she had kind of, reading about work and seeing depictions of it on TV and movies. She expected that to be more part of the culture, and it just wasn't. But, to be honest, reporting on this, I didn't talk to people about that aspect of it as much, but I know what you mean.
The data is interesting. Drinking is down.
Yeah.
Gallup has been charting drinking patterns since actually I have it in front of me because their story which came out last summer headline, and I take issue with this, but it's interesting. U.S. drinking rate at new low as alcohol concerns surge. And when you analyze the data, it's both true that drinking is at a low. 54% say they drink. And if you go to the late 70s, that number was 70%. And it's true that there's been a spike of people who are worried about health, but I don't think that it's so much health generated as it is a lack of social skills and connections like we're discussing. Fewer happy hours, less drinking.
Right. I mean, I think those things can go hand in hand. I spoke to, I think, a 30-year-old guy who says he and all of his guy friends really try not to drink during the week. And so he'll just not drink unless he's going on a date. And so something like happy hour just doesn't kind of rank in the priorities for him.
Oh, making me thirsty. TC, what thoughts might you have?
Well, I think it's very interesting what you talked about relationships and getting to know your boss, Lane, through like in a slightly different way. I think it softens the person, it humanizes them, and that can help you either push a little harder or know a little bit more. It just, I think, makes things all the better. If you're only dealing with a boss over orders and emails and very professional, then that's it. That's the level. And sometimes that's okay, but I think it's good to know that everybody's also human. I think it's a great humanizer. And I like you, really enjoy when I'm over in London seeing the pub culture and they're spilling out and they're down up and down the streets of the pub outside the pubs, and they all are allowed to have drinks outside. And it's just a totally different thing. I think it's fantastic.
Me too. Yeah, I agree with that. So hopefully we're doing a small part in bringing it back. Lane, it's a great piece. It's a provocative piece. I'm so glad that you were willing not only to write it, but also to join us for happy hour and to say hello. So we wish you all good things and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Oh, thank you for that. From the Wall Street Journal, Lane Florsheim. So TC, nice to be with you. Although I got to say, your responsibility.
I know.
Go ahead, tell everybody.
So it was earlier.
Like, what the hell?
Okay, so earlier today, I said that I was going to come and I was going to bring my non-alcoholic stuff. And he said, "What do you think about wine and cheese? I mean, what do you think about cheese and crackers?" And I said, "Michael, would you like me to bring cheese and crackers?" And he said, "Yeah, that would be great. Bring cheese and crackers." So I said that I would. And what happened was I was running out of the apartment and I had everything with me. I had the crackers, I had the bowls, I had the knife, I had everything ready. And I forgot the cheese in the fridge because it was still in the fridge. So we only have crackers and not cheese. And I apologize profusely, but you're really upset about this.
I'm very upset about it.
Really upset. He's used to my charcuterie.
I need the cheese to absorb my mictors.
Have the crackers do well.
These crackers are making me thirsty.
Exactly. That's the whole point. Oh, by the way, I have another drink for me because I'm about to finish this.
Yeah.
And these are
you're reaching your limit. Be careful.
This is actually my favorite. First of all, cold glass.
Right.
And these athletic beers. Oh. This one's so good. I think the beers are the best.
Let's talk about your drinking. Are your parents watching?
I don't think so.
Oh, good. Okay. So let's have a candid conversation about your drinking.
Why I'm doing Damp January. You're going to force me to tell this story live, aren't you?
No. But I just want to reflect on
what usually happens when I drink?
If you normally are drinking, you throw it down.
I know. Well, look at me now. I'm still.
No, I mean, you throw it down. And then what happens? Immediately.
I turn bright red.
Bright red.
Yeah, it's a thing. And I've looked into it. And people have said like, oh, you can have antacids or stuff like that. You know who absolutely gave me the right answer to how to solve that? My father.
What did he say? Don't drink.
Yes, that's exactly what he said. And of course, he's totally right. That is, of course, the answer. But I do love to drink. I don't now I will tell this story. But before I tell this story, I have to say that when I do drink, I drink Vinho Verde, which is a Portuguese lunch wine, very low ABV, alcohol by volume. So I'm drinking lighter drinks. That's important in this story. Went to a new doctor. And I cannot believe I'm telling this story. Went to a new doctor, and she says to me, so, do you smoke? No. Weed? No. Drink? Yeah. She said, how many drinks a night? I was
I
like,
hate that question.
well, I told the truth. I said, I don't know, 3 or 4. So without missing a beat, and with no judgment at all, she says to me, okay, so in the course of a week, 21 to 28 drinks. I was like, well, if you put it that way, zero judgment. And guys, I cannot get that out of my head. 21 to 28 drinks.
TC.
And as Eric, my partner, points out, TC, you're having a spritzer, or you're having a light beer, or you're having, the Vinho Verde.
So great rationalizer. Continue.
Correct, because we love to drink together. So I decided to do Damp January. I'm not drinking during the week. I'm sure it will be healthy, but I do miss it.
Okay, note to self, before you go in for that physical, you have to get your story straight. That's the
story. She wants to help me. I'm telling the truth.
So an important part of the Mingle Project, and by the way, please, on my YouTube channel, look at all the episodes for the Mingle Project, because we're really proud of them. The content is great. The guests are great. And I feel like I'm unpeeling an onion, that I'm unspooling something here, that it's a story that needs to be told in increments. You can start with the Mingle movie, but then look at the component parts, because each of them has been terrific. And another important part of the whole Mingle Project, again, shorthand for this campaign that I'm on, that I think a lot of you are on, to restore common experience, are the Mingle Meetups. And Bonnie Glushan, I joke about Bonnie, being my California captain, but she really is. And she's the one who, along with our Mingle Meetup captains, has put this together. It's organic, it's spontaneous. There are gatherings of people who, I was going to say, united by the radio program, but in every instance, that's not always true. A lot of people are just getting caught up into the idea of getting together, and they have no idea who I am, who TC might be, or have heard of the radio program. That's okay. There are people getting together with individuals that they didn't know previously. And Bonnie deserves a lot of the credit for that. And she is joining us as well. By the way, we're showing on the screen. Okay, let me show this first. So this is from Smerconish.com, the Mingle tab. And you go there and you look, and in every one of these locations, Albany, Annapolis, Atlanta, Austin, Chicago, Cincinnati, Dallas, I'm not going to read them all, but it's a really impressive and growing list of locations where people have organized Mingle Meetups. They're different. Actually, let me let Bonnie explain. She does a better job than I do. Bonnie Glushan, thank you for being here. This is Bonnie. Where are you today? You look like you're in California.
I'm in LA. I'll be in Vegas in 5 hours.
Nice. Well, hey, what is that?
Nice.
Is that a pinball machine behind you?
I had to move because the sun was in my eyes, but yeah, this was from 1972. My father had a massive coronary. It was before cable, it was before streaming. And so my mother bought him a pinball machine so that after he was recovering, he'd have something to do. And so it'll die with me now.
In other words, that was Dad's pinball machine.
Yes.
Wow.
And when he so I inherited it, and everyone says, don't leave it outside. It won't, it can't work. It won't function properly. Right. And I'm like, it'll live as long as I live. That's all I need. When I die, it'll go. Like you talk about your kids don't want any of your crap. Nobody wants our crap either. So anyway.
Right. Who's gonna take the pinball machine is the point, right?
Nobody.
I
Definitely.
love it. What a great tribute. I love the background story to that. That's really cool.
Well, and I would pan to the Big Daddy chair, but I don't want to move the camera. But anyway, back to the Mingle Project.
Okay,
back to
let's talk about this. Bonnie, how did this start? Because I didn't think of it. You thought of it and you acted on it. What happened here?
The real story?
Yeah.
The real story is that I reached out to you and said we should use the Meetup app organizer organization, and we should create meetups across the country to mirror what you're talking about. And you said no.
Why did I say no?
GC, wait. And you said no a few times, and you kept saying I'm busy. I'm like, you don't need to do anything. Now in retrospect, I don't think any of us could have imagined, like when you're young and you start things, you don't realize how hard it might be. Like I don't think anyone realized what it would ultimately be. But you did say no a few times, and my memory, my memory is that like TC in Houston called one day months later and said, "Hey, Michael, you should do these meetups." And you're like, "Bonnie told me that." So TC, I think, is the one who deserves the credit, but that's how it started.
Not me, the other TC.
The other TC.
Yeah.
And then what did you do? Walk us through it. I think the growth of this is really exciting.
Um, so there's a group of us that met at the Unconvention. Jeff and Beth are on this call. I see you guys. And we kind of just started talking about it. And then you gave us the green light and we created verbiage so that we'd have consistency. And the Meetup app is a global app. And the reason why we use the Meetup app and not Facebook or other things is because anyone can, you can go on Meetup for free. You can join meetups. Like if you guys like hiking or you want to play board games or trivia, whatever everything's on the Meetup app to meet new people. So it really was mingling before Michael even thought of mingling. I've been on it for probably 15 years, maybe 20. And we started our first one, and then you started to promote it, and we got people to launch as organizers in each city. And as we've grown, I mean, I think we're up to 42 across the country. And yes, our goal is to have one in every state, but we have a few states leading the pack. We have 4 in New York, 4 in Pennsylvania, and 4 in California. So we need people that are interested in and able to launch. It's not easy. It isn't, it's a lot of herding cats in the rain. I see Laura. Hi, Laura. I see you on there too now. And Liz. So it's a lot of fun. I think that what has been most, not surprising, but what's been most kind of like the aha moment is that we've all made friends with people in our groups that we never in a million years would have met otherwise. And not just meeting people where you're like having, drinks or dinner or whatever, but really meaningful relationships. And I am just incredibly grateful that we're doing this because I myself, my life has definitely been enriched by it. But I have heard so many great stories from so many of the other organizers. And I guess one last thing I'd want to say is it's not just the friendships, but the grief and the tragedies that we've had to help each other through. The fires we had people impacted by, and we all reached out and leaned in to help each other. And that's just been life-changing. So I'm really grateful that I've had the opportunity to be part of this.
Bonnie, I'm going to read the list of what's upcoming, okay? But
Okay.
will you first tell everybody what happens at a Mingle meetup?
So that's a great question that has no simple answer because every group is different. And the contrast between Jeff in Minnesota, which Jeff, I was in at a trade show recently, and one of my vendors that I work with is like, she's like, I so want to go to that. I'm like, well, just know Jeff's are like parties. Jeff has like 30 some odd people and everyone's eating and drinking and having fun and carousing. And then there's Diane in Sacramento, and Diane is she's a hustler. You called her a hustler. She goes with an agenda. She's got a plan. She's got poll questions. So every group is kind of organically kind of created by the people that attend. And so there isn't really an exact cookie cutter. But the organizers kind of create their own experience, and then the people that show up do, right? So I would say that if you're interested in going to one, some of you live where you can go to multiple ones. So go to them and participate. But I would say some are super fun and some are much more political and some just talk about movies and TV.
Will you speak to cost? Like what's the expectation?
Sure, I will speak to cost. So if you are going to go to a meetup just to go to a meetup, it doesn't cost you anything. So as an example, some of us meet in restaurants or bars or all different kinds of places where, there's food served, and cocktails served and people can eat or drink if they choose, right? So to attend a meetup, it doesn't cost you anything unless you want to eat or drink, right? If you want to lead a meetup, the Meetup app does cost money. It is just what it is. But it can be shared. So as an example, one person can have 3 different meetup groups. So the cost of the meetup group can be spread over those 3 people. It's different in different cities and states and countries. In California, it's $300 a year. The other thing that people that want to launch a meetup can do is just at the meetup, ask everybody to give them $5 or $10. Or on the app, there's a little button that they can say, please contribute. And then it can be paid for and amortized over the year. So there is a cost involved if you're going to lead one and organize one. And the last thing I'd say on that point, some people want to do it on Facebook, some people we need to have consistency, and we also need to have people have some skin in the game. Leading these groups is like herding cats in the rain, and it takes some work. And if people have some financial investment, I feel they'll be more likely to go along with it and still be doing it in 6 months and not drop off, because that's not helpful to anybody. You know, when we have organizers that aren't all in and they're not planning events, to me, in my opinion, it reflects poorly on us in your name, because people go to the meetup group and there's not an event planned, and then they get disappointed.
Got it. But by the way, those that I've attended, it's either been in a bar or restaurant, and everybody just sort of chips in and pays for whatever they consumed. I mean, as if we were just going to happy hour together. I'm going to read the list. By the way, can I just stop for a moment and say, PJ, will you please provide direction before I read this list in terms of people who want to pose a comment or a question? How should they do that?
Sure. So what everybody needs to do is use the function in the bottom bar where you would turn on your mic or camera to add a comment. And once you add that comment that you'd like to ask Michael, then just hit raise your hand. It's another button along the bottom. And then from there, we'll have a nice line and I'll get everybody's video up.
Thank you, PJ. So Bonnie, I see that today, Brian in Hanover, Pennsylvania, Miss Shara and Eric in Dallas. So today they're having Mingle Meetups.
Yep.
Tomorrow, Joe in Philadelphia, Jen in New York City, Jeff in Minnesota. We can always rely on Jeff in Minnesota on January 23rd. On the 24th, which is Saturday, Ryan in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Tom in Albany on the 27th. Kim in Denver on the 3rd of February. We've got our first Mingle Meetup in San Diego. Thank you, Dan. That's on February the 5th. Diane in Sacramento. Yes, she's a hustler. That's on February 7. Glenn in Cincinnati on Tuesday, February 10. Amy in White Plains, New York on Wednesday, the 11th of February. Michelle in Phoenix on the 12th of February. Stephen in Annapolis on the 19th of February. Beth in Chicago on Sunday, the 22nd. I hope I didn't leave anybody out, but that's what's currently scheduled for Mingle Meetups.
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fabulous. It's really great. People just getting together, socializing, hopefully enjoying one another's company. One other thing I wanted to mention, because we recently had a gathering online for all of the meetup captains. And one of the themes that I learned is people saying, hey, we wish we had more who were right of center. The water is warm, jump in. Like this is not only for centrists or progressives, but we welcome you. You could be MAGA, and we'd rather you be there than not be there. Everybody, we want to be civil. But do you want to say a word about that?
Well, you know, it is interesting that when we got together, that we did find that so many of our groups did tend to be more center left. And, you know, somebody might say, well, you're in California. So it's not me. It's just what we found across the country.
Right.
I don't know why it is. I will say that when we have conversations that are more topic driven, it's helpful because people can participate regardless of where they are on the spectrum. And I will say that when we just sit down and didn't have any kind of agenda, there was some Trump bashing. And so it's kind of up to the organizers also to ensure that we are leading a conversation. I know Diane does a particularly good job of this, but I think that, we welcome everyone. We want to hear alternative opinions out of the discussion. That's what makes it interesting. And I'll say that we have, in our group, Michael, we have a number of people that claim to be conservative Republicans. They just tend to be leaning left under the Trump administration.
Understood. Yeah. Listen, I want to get to the goal of 50 states represented by the end of the year for our Mingle Meetups. And I have confidence that you're going to lead us there. So I can't thank you enough. You're the best. Meeting you has been a pleasure. You've totally taken control of this. You and the Mingle captains deserve all the credit, and I love it. I just want to see where we can build it.
Well, I can't take, there's a whole team of people.
I know.
Your team and our team that are putting it together. And I see so many of you guys. Stephen, I see you, and Beth, I see you, and Venice, I see you. There's so many of them on the call because everyone is so engaged and connected and wanting to lean into this. And I guess, we shouldn't bury the lead. We're all working on create an experience so that we can have a national in-person Mingle meetup. That is what everyone keeps asking about. They want to, they keep asking on our Slack platform. And what I've told our organizers is when we get all 50 states, then I'll go back to Michael and we're going to have a big party in Las Vegas and have a big Mingle meetup.
You're headed to Vegas in 5 hours. Go do the advance work for us.
I already have all the advance work done.
Bonnie, thank you.
I already got everything planned. Thank you guys. And
I really
all
appreciate
my organizers, all of you guys that are on the call, I love you. You're so wonderful. I love seeing your names pop up on Slack. I thank you all for everything you're doing because it makes my job that much easier. And I really, really appreciate you.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Hey, PJ, what I'd like to do is put the slide on the screen and let everybody look at the locations where the Mingle meetups are currently organized. And after we show that for a couple of moments, then I want to thank our friends at Parks Casino and then come back and respond to some of the comments from folks who are participating in happy hour. Let's do that. Yeah.
No matter how you play, there's always another way to win on the BetParks app.
Yeah, let's go. He died.
No matter how you play, there's always another way to win on the BetParks app.
What about? Yeah. Let's do that. They're good crackers.
Better with cheese.
I just wish I had cheese to go with them. This cracker is not going to absorb any booze. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but they're good.
They're good.
I have another drink. I'm on my third. What's wrong with you?
Yours are non-alcoholic.
Yeah, but I would have been on my third if they were alcoholic, and that's
No,
the
I
truth.
just want to nurse my Manhattan.
Okay, fine.
Sometimes I drink them too quickly, and yeah, I don't enjoy it. So Bonnie's the best.
Bonnie is the best. She is just A+.
I have to say, I don't know how far we can take this.
We're gonna do a national Mingle meetup. That's what I heard.
Yeah,
That's my takeaway.
but it's really great.
Special.
It's really
It's
special.
special.
Yeah.
All of those team captains.
And a funny thing happened. I was giving a speech in Los Angeles. I feel like by now it's more than a year ago, and Bonnie was having a Mingle meetup, and it was close to where I was, and I didn't tell her that I was going to show up, and I just showed up, and she almost had a heart attack when I walked in the door. And it was great. They're not enormous. They differ in size.
I keep trying to get to
by
one of the silly
venue.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and people would be thrilled if you
Yeah,
walked
I
in the
would
door
be
and just
so
hung out. And some they talk politics,
Yeah.
and some they don't talk politics. And I totally understand if there's no desire to talk politics. That's not a part of the drill. That's not a part of the drill.
Right.
The drill
It's very
is
obvious, and it
just-
varies.
yeah, just being out
Right.
and being social.
Right. With the bind that either they want to they know us, or they just want to meet people. It's great.
Hey, I want everybody to know that we are in a portion of the studio, the television side, that is connected to the radio studio. And so 10 yards away is a different studio, all under our roof, where I deliver the CNN program
Yep.
on a weekly basis. And then this is an additional set that PJ and the boys at Creative Outfit use for different video projects. And it's just really nice to be able to be here. And behind us, do we have a wide shot, PJ? Behind us are, if you're wondering, these are not only the books that are most critical to the Mingle Project represented, but also we have headlines from the stories that you can find, some of the stories that you can find in Mingle News. We're constantly adding to that library. And it's interesting if you go there and you just look at some of what we've assembled, which runs in the newsletter, that tell this story of societal disconnect. And they're often, I'll give you a great example. So one of them behind me is Everybody Wants an Escape Room. I don't know where the hell that is, but it's, I think it's right over my shoulder. It like viewed in a vacuum, a story about people now taking it upon themselves to have a location in their home where they can just decompress and not be connected, is tethered to a story like another that I'm looking at, The Rise and Fall of the American Monoculture. I love that story, which is a story that talks about all the cultural touchstones that we used to have in common, movies and radio and television programs that you could go to work and you could talk with your coworkers about. But now, we're all so fragmented and disparate.
Ben Fritz, phenomenal interview.
Fabulous. And that is a Mingle episode.
That was a great conversation.
Gen Z unplugging and finding themselves happier. No surprise. Let me just see what else. What happened to happy hour? We just talked about. Oh, love this. Social media up there in the corner is killing public dancing.
No one wants to be filmed.
Explain that.
So the whole idea is that because there's everybody has not just a phone in their pocket, but a video camera. And so people who are a little nervous about their own dancing skills, think Elaine on Seinfeld, are not dancing because they know that they could be filmed and then they could be posted. It could be embarrassing. Maybe not to the extent that Elaine went viral, but you could just be embarrassed by dancing. And so they're like, I'm not going out there. Which is a shame.
So the reason that I post these stories, Maya posts these stories. She's our newsletter editor and does a terrific job. But if I see something that I'm doing my read in and I'm posting it in the following day's newsletter, I'll say to her, hey, give it the purple box treatment, which means it goes in Mingle News. And if you go there and you now look at the totality of these stories, you no longer see them as a one-off. You see them as pieces of a puzzle that tell this story. It's really amazing.
You're doing the weave.
Yeah. I mean, if I brought any one of them up and I said, oh, look at this story, you'd say, okay, but what's the big deal? And the epiphany moment of all of the stories, it was the story that I saw in the Washington Post that said that more of our kids today are being driven to school in a private vehicle than taking the public school bus. That was the one where the light bulb went off and I said, okay, it's gone too far, because if your parents are driving you to school, you're missing all the lessons of the school bus. I know that Chuck Hall, who is tuned in right now and watching all this, rode the bus with me on bus number 5 and is probably laughing, thinking about some of that which went on our bus. But it's true, and it went on your bus as well. And when I tell those stories, I get a lot of shaking heads in the room if I'm in front of a live audience. Okay, PJ, tell me what you'd like us to respond to so that we toast some of those who are dialed in. Professor Kenny. Oh, there he is. Hello, Professor.
Kenny.
How are you? Cheers.
Hey, cheers. Thank you, Michael. Nice to see you. This is a great platform. I listen to you in the morning. You start my morning, and then I go to the DC Huddle, then I do Mark Halperin's Two-Way, and then I host a post show after that.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it's too much. But anyway, talking about this Mingle project, I think it's wonderful that you have this great community that really wants to get together and talk. And the most important thing is to get away from the politics. When you meet people, we could have disagreements about where we come from, if we're on the right or the left, but you find if you don't focus on that and you talk about movies or talking about your bourbon Manhattans, you always find common ground that we're Americans and that we don't have to deal with the nonsense that goes on in this political sphere that we're in now. So I I'll just pivot quickly to a question about Trump and what's going on right now in Davos. Obviously, you know, he started out good for about the first 15 minutes, and now, you know, and then he went into his normal Trumpdom. But of course, he's leaving with some kind of framework. So I just like we couldn't predict this, you know, because he's never going to leave a loser, right? You know, so
Well, I guess it means we're not acquiring Greenland. I mean, I
Right,
need
we're
to
not-
read in. I need to
Yeah.
read in because I saw
Yeah.
what he said and I watched the interaction with Caitlin Collins. So it's something shy of acquiring Greenland. And what I heard him say, Professor, was when asked, well, how long's the deal for? He said infinity. So fine, if he gets to leave with something that allows him to save face, that puts us on a long-term path with Greenland, that doesn't intrude on the desires of the Danes and the people who live in Greenland, then I'm all for it. I can tell you this, the poll question tomorrow is a question, it'll probably be a 99-1, but that's okay. The question tomorrow is one of, will he ever expressly say there's a climate change reason for the strategic importance of Greenland? Don't hold your breath for that. But hopefully we're now like beyond the Greenland issue and we can get on to other things.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much. PJ, Randy, where are we headed next? All right, Charles, where are you?
Visiting my parents in Florida. How do you like the background, by the way?
Nice. Love it. That's awesome. That's
Question
awesome.
for you, or
Yeah.
actually compliment.
Right.
I loved how you pressed Governor Shapiro the other day, even though he really, really, really didn't want to answer that question. Oh, how good was that? Actually, I have
Were
something
you,
for
Charles, were you surprised? I'm going to take for granted that you heard the program
Yeah, I did.
yesterday. Were you surprised by how many people, I was shocked, thought it was appropriate to ask if Governor Shapiro had been like a secret agent for the Israelis?
No.
You were not
No.
shocked by that.
Oh, if I was shocked by that, no, I wasn't shocked by that at all. I thought, I mean, just listen to what Deborah Lipstadt said in response. I'm sure Walls didn't get the question, but
Well, he got the
I
China
expected it.
question. He got the China question.
Right, but when it comes to, but not the Israel question.
Right.
I mean, the normalizing anti-Semitism question that you put as your poll just spurred to the front of my head when that happens.
Yeah, I was disappointed in the reaction from the callers yesterday.
Yeah.
I have to say, but I thought, I mean, I get it. Josh doesn't want to. He doesn't want to unspool it with me. He's got a big event on Saturday,
right.
notwithstanding the big snowstorm that's coming.
Oh, good point.
So we'll hear
Yeah.
what his whole version is. But I said I was offended by the question, and nothing the callers said to me changed that opinion.
All right, and before I drop off, I just have someone who wants to say hello here.
Okay, is it your son?
It is.
Nice.
It is.
Hey.
Hey, by the
That's-
way, he looks terrific. Do you mind telling briefly the story?
Sure. He's about a month and a year and a few months. He had he was born with a cleft palate and lip. Underwent a couple of cosmetic surgeries. It's really nothing more than it's pent up to be, but otherwise living healthy and well at this point.
I want everybody to know that if you remember when we moved to the new studio, we did not bring my old console from which I for a decade delivered the radio program. And I said, if there's a listener out there who'll do something charitable, you can have it. And Charles is that listener, which is how I know him. And Charles said, look, I'm going to contribute to causes relative to helping kids with a cleft palate because my own went through that. By the way, where's the console?
Are you kidding? The console.
Is it your dining room table?
No, it's in my basement, set up next to the poster that you also graciously gave me,
Oh,
which
that's right.
which I use on my own YouTube channel. So thanks for that.
It's hysterical. All right. Cheers to you and Godspeed to your son. Thank you. Ken is next. Wow, look at Ken's backdrop. Ken, what's going on?
Wow.
What's going on with the elephants?
I want everybody to know I'm a Republican.
All right, there's no mistake about that.
This is an honor to be able to talk to you. You're my favorite. I watch you every Saturday. And I served in elected office in Virginia. So I work with Democrats and Republicans, and I'm very much kind of a policy nerd. And I do post on your website, on your Facebook page, and I'm very much in the minority. But I wanted to know if there's anything that you can do, and I don't know why the media are not reporting why the ICE agents are being the subject of all this abuse when they're just being told what to do by Trump, by Tom Homan, Stephen Miller. I mean, the protest should be directed in Washington, at the people who failed to pass that immigration bill. I don't understand why the media can't ask that question of the demonstrators and all these 501c3s like Indivisible, which are funding this. And that's another issue right there for you to investigate. And you did a great job, by the way, talking about those guidelines, which the ICE agents may have violated with the shooting of that person. And you and the Wall Street Journal, the only people who've reported it, and no other media have picked up on it because they just want to get that. They just want to get that controversy. They don't want to get the facts out.
Totally. And by the way, thank you for that compliment, because it took me a long time, to pull all the documents and then read all the documents and then write a summary that I could go on television and on radio. And I know it's my job. I'm not asking for your gratitude, but others hadn't done it. Instead, everybody just weighed in without even recognizing what the framework would be. I have two thoughts. Number one is that what transpired, I haven't discussed this on radio only because I haven't had the time, which is why it's nice to have this forum. What transpired in that church in Minneapolis, where it seems to me from a distance that an ICE agent or representative, I want to get the words accurate, was doxxed. I thought that was terrible. And I agree with you. Like, to me, that's a guy who's doing his job. If he crosses the line, then sure, we're going to call him out. But that's one reaction. The second reaction is, this is a great poll question. Should the energies of those who oppose the ICE initiatives be focused not on the ICE agents, but on higher ups? And if
I'm emailing that.
If I can remember it and frame it, I'm going to use that. And I hope that I'll remember Ken Reed was the one who put it on my. I feel the same way. I feel that if somebody's a thug, it doesn't apply what I'm about to say. But if it's a person doing their job and enforcing immigration laws, then I have sympathy for them.
Yeah, I mean, I was a council member in Leesburg and I was a supervisor, and if people had a problem with the way we were handling the police, you come to us. You don't sit there and attack the cops.
Totally
the one
agree.
criticism of your show is, Michael, Saturday morning, my girlfriend and I are always late to synagogue because of you. I mean, it really is.
That's awesome.
It ain't
Wait,
easy.
I have good news. I have good news. I have good news. Although there's no consistency to what CNN has been doing with the program, and I'm not complaining, I guess in a small way I am, they've been replaying it, but they replay it at 1 or at 3 or at 4, and there's never consistency that allows me to build an audience. And it's important to me because, candidly, my mom, who would be upset if I told you she's 90, she likes to watch it twice. And so I'm always confusing her if I say, Mom, it's on at 1 or it's on at 3 or it's on at, like, please give me a consistent replay time, if for no other reason that my mom can watch.
Well, we like watching you, and we love you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work. Anything I can do to help your producers with any ideas, let me know.
Thank you, Ken. That's awfully nice.
And I did do an article for you a couple of years ago on COVID, actually.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it very much. All right, boys, where are we headed next? All right, so I mentioned Chuck, and there he is. Chuck rode bus number 5 with Mr. Larlick with me, and here he is. Hi, Chuck.
Hey, Michael, great to see you. And also,
thank you.
Great to see you.
Cheers, Chuck.
My fan favorite. I know everybody focuses on Michael, but you're actually the best. And Michael would probably agree. So So, Michael, I got a couple of points here. First of all, Mr. Ernst was the best, our baseball coach. The last time I saw him this side of Valhalla was sitting outside of Bobby Simone's having a martini, and I joined him for a drink on a nice spring day. It was wonderful.
Don't you think he would approve of me telling the story? I actually know
Absolutely.
yeah, I know who the judge was. I think the judge was Ward Clark. And you know, you probably knew Ward Clark, Judge Clark, and Robbie and the whole family. But that was the Doylestown lore that Jack goes in before Judge Clark and he says to him, you know, well, I told it at the outset of the hour.
So, Michael, I really want to focus on one point here, and that is that your passion for Mingle is real because our neighborhood in Doylestown was the ultimate Mingle. We had dads, primarily dads back in those days. Most of the moms were stay-at-home or part-time jobs, but our dads worked in all kinds of fields. You know, your dad was one of the more highly educated people. My dad was asked to leave high school in 10th grade because he was a behavior problem. So he went to work and then started his own successful business and served the community as fire chief. But it was really a great neighborhood. And I think some people feel like sometimes like this Mingle stuff is a shtick. It is not. It is real. It's what we lived. We had a great neighborhood with people mingling. And so I appreciate you doing this. I'm happy to be the Atlanta Mingle captain. I've met so many amazing people through that, and we have a great time. One final point, and then I will be done, and that is on behalf of the 300 or so who loved joining together for the YouTube lives Monday through Saturday. We miss you, and we're kind of heartbroken to not have that community anymore.
It's a time issue. I can't do everything, and we had to prioritize what we're seeking to do, which is to grow the project in 2026. So
I hear you. I hear you. I just
you,
want
and
to
I'm
let you know
sympathetic to it.
you have passionate people out here who miss you.
Hey, by the way, I did not know. I did not know that there's some criticism out there that it's shtick. That is so highly offensive because there's zero upside for me. None. It takes so much of my time and so much of my resources to gather together the Mingle guests, to put on the programming, to read the books, to speak, to address it. And it's as simple as I've described. I used to speak around the country and I would talk about the influence of a polarized media, and I would talk about gerrymandering, and I would talk about a lack of campaign finance reform, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I would try and like build the bridge and say to people, don't listen to those media mouthpieces. And then a couple of events occurred, and a couple of books I read, and a couple of guests I interviewed opened my eyes that I was missing something, and that the biggest, here it is in a nutshell, the single greatest problem that we face as a country is our disengagement. You talk about my dad and you talk about your dad. Your father was Carl Hall. And of all things, Chuck isn't selling him short. He may not have had a formal education, but he was successful as an operator of a towing company. He was also the fire chief, and then started his own emergency, as I remember, his own emergency response business. And parents like we were fortunate to have were participants. You know, they were active in the community. Your mom was of the sort where if we misbehaved, she was going to get involved. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, all the moms were that way.
Right. So that level of activism and involvement that we enjoyed in our neighborhood and probably took for granted, I certainly did, is missing today. And I choose for whatever time I continue to have on these platforms to point that out to people. And Chuck, as you well know, because you came from Atlanta to North Carolina to watch me deliver the version that we recorded as the Mingle movie, ask me about writing the check for PJ to bring 8 cameras to film it and then put it for free online so that people could watch it, and to waive the monetization that might have existed simply because I want the message. See, you got my goat now. I'm so believing I'm so believing that this is the biggest problem we face. And I'm going to use whatever time I've got access to these microphones left to tout it and to explain. And everywhere I go, people shake their head and they say, yeah, you're right. And so then the question becomes, what do we do about it? Okay, I'll tell you what we do about it. On Monday, instead of having a holiday, because it was a day off at Sirius XM, I say to the station and the network, guess what? We're working and we're going to Temple University and we're going to speak for 3 straight hours about volunteering.
And we did.
And we did.
It was a
And
fantastic
I
show.
have no idea whether that was good listening or good viewing.
I heard it was good.
I thought it was awesome to have Josh Shapiro talking about volunteerism, and my buddy Todd Bernstein, and John Fry, the president of Temple University, and Sherelle Parker, the mayor of Philadelphia, and then to have Rosie Rios, who's the head of America 250, right?
We're
and then
gonna
to
hear more
have
from her.
Jennifer Sperangello,
Right.
who's the head of Points of Light.
Are you getting fired up?
Yeah, I'm.
Yes, yes, it is.
Keep drinking.
So Michael, I will leave you with this.
Yeah.
So when people ask me how long I've been listening to Michael Smerconish, I say more than 60 years. Not a lie.
Right. Yeah.
And the other thing I will say is that while you were one of the rowdy kids in the back of bus 5, I usually was reading a book somewhere in the middle as a little undiagnosed autistic kid, just trying to keep my head down and stay out of trouble.
Oh, man. And the lessons we learned on that bus, right? The lessons we learned on that bus were great.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to get on my soapbox.
You did. Not on the soapbox.
Yeah. But
that's okay.
It's important.
I know.
It's
You're
important.
passionate about it. It means a lot to you. I get it.
Well, have we had fun at happy hour?
We have had fun at happy hour. Has it already been an hour?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So what are you going to
That's
go do
amazing.
now?
I think I'll go have some dinner.
You're going to have dinner.
Are you not going to have dinner?
I'm going to have dinner. What are you going to have?
I haven't decided yet.
He's a foodie. So,
I don't know.
huh?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Last-
You know it. They're getting flush. You know
last
exactly what you're having. What do you have?
Last night I had skate.
You had skeet?
Skate.
Oh, okay.
Fish.
Okay, last night, so you had
Wings.
You had fish. You had fish, and it was probably very fancy.
Mm.
Last
I
night,
can neither confirm.
last
nor deny.
night,
There might
no-
have been duck involved.
okay. Oh, I don't like duck.
Ooh, I
no,
love duck.
no BS. I made tacos, and
Well,
you've had my
I know
tacos.
why you had tacos last night because it was Tuesday.
No, it had nothing to do with that. My wife was working, and I was in charge, and I made tacos.
I was in Nashville over the weekend. I don't even know if you know that, but I was in Nashville over the weekend and we went to a taco place. And my hand to God, they had crispy shells, ground beef.
I feel like driving there right now.
I was like, Michael would be in heaven right
True.
now. It was exactly as you like them. It was, and they were great.
I love it.
Yeah,
All
it was
right,
a great
awesome.
place. I thought of you.
All right, we lift our glasses to people who have watched us for happy hour. Maybe we'll do this
Cheers.
again. Yeah, cheers to
Cheers
you.
to
Thank you for being here. I appreciate
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a lot of fun. I want to thank PJ and the boys, Randy at Creative Outfit.
Cheers.
And to those who watch the Mingle episodes, and to those who listen, and to those who watch CNN, we really do appreciate all of you. And one last thing. We have great content on the YouTube page. I was just discussing this with my friend Chuck Hall. So we have cameras now in every corner of the studio. And to reflect on the question that he asked me, we're now in a position where every day with the highest of production values, we can show you something that went on that day's radio program. So please look at the YouTube page and subscribe. It's free. And set yourself up for notifications. And then anytime that we are, I'll give you an example. So am I getting long-winded again?
It's fine. Good.
So today, Admiral Stavridis was on the program, right?
Hang on, I'm settling in. Go ahead.
Former Supreme Allied, that means she thinks I'm getting long-winded. I'll soon be finished.
This is where I start going like this. Break.
Okay, no, I want to say, I
go
want
ahead.
to say this.
This is important.
So Admiral Stavridis, former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO, on air today talking about the president as he's in Davos, actually as he was speaking. I'm speaking with Admiral Stavridis.
So good.
It's great content, not only to listen to, but to watch.
Yeah.
For example, today I'm perusing his website in anticipation of the interview, and I see this phenomenal photograph. You don't have that handy, PJ, do you? This photograph from Admiral Stavridis' website. He's with Queen Elizabeth. You don't have it. Okay. He's with Queen Elizabeth, and in the background is President Obama.
But it's the look on Queen Elizabeth's face. You pointed out. Huge smile. And the story behind it
Yeah.
was so worth
Hysterical.
telling. And to me, it's so funny that you brought that up. That in one of these rare things with all the news going on today, with the president of Davos and everything else, that was my takeaway from today's show. And worth seeing, look at me, go to YouTube right now and check it out, because that picture is worth seeing.
Yeah, it's just an example of something that you can't translate on radio.
Yeah,
but we talked about it. We talked about it,
yes.
and we were able to show it. And if you watch that video, it's terrific. So I'm proud of the content. Give TC some play with TC After Dark, the podcast every Thursday. She's dropping an episode tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. Talking about these are the headlines from Smerconish.com and the Smerconish.com daily newsletter that I feel are not talked about enough in the show, or I have something else left to talk about them. So they're sort of more of the back of the house stuff, and it's really, really fun. So yeah, please do check that out.
Give her some play on TC After Dark. Go to the YouTube page, subscribe to the YouTube page, and know that we appreciate you. Good night, everybody.